good afternoon to all our guests, and a very warm welcome to you, Mr. Yongheng Chung, who's zooming in from China and will be running our, speaking at our session today. I'd like to very much acknowledge the work of the Australia China Health Accelerator, supported by the Commonwealth Incubator Support Program, to engage Mr. Chung as an international expert and resident in ACHA's Uprasia program. For those of you who attended our recent session at the virtual Australia China Economic Trade and Investment Expo on global health tech innovation, I'm sure you'll agree there's great complementarity between Australia in the health and medical research sector. Australia and China. Australia is ranked #2 in the world for our health systems, and China is the second largest health market in the world. There's definitely scope for productive collaboration as China works towards fulfilling one of the key aspects of its project of modernity, the universal affordable healthcare system for the largest population in history. China has long had an interest in Australian intellectual and inventions, and with the Australia-China Free Trade Agreement signed in 2015, direct pathways were created for Australian companies to engage with the opportunities in the healthcare sector in China. Of all the states in Australia, Victoria is best known for both medical R&D and new IP, and there's ample space in the China market for pharmaceuticals, medical health devices, and health startups to thrive. For some, the complexity of foreign investment rules can be a barrier to foreign health business and bilateral collaboration, and that's why today's event was conceived to provide insider knowledge on the registration and regulatory systems. I'm therefore pleased we're able to hear from Mr. Chung, who has had over 30 years experience in various Chinese government departments of medical regulation, including Deputy Counsel of the Department of Medical Devices of the China Food and Drug Administration, and Deputy General of the CFDA, Centre for Food and Drug International Exchange. He's currently a consultant for capacity building and continuing education on medical device innovation, as well as on the expert committee of the Chinese National Health Commission. Mr. Chung has strong experience in studying medical device regulatory and regulation systems in the US, Europe, and other Western countries. And it's my absolute delight to welcome you today. We feel very honoured, and I would like to now hand over to you, Mr. Chung, to do today's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Virginia. Thank you for your introduction of me. Well, I'm going to use my PPT. However, the computer tells me the chair of the meeting forbids you to share your screen. Well, I can't hear now. No voice.
Maddie will get your screen operating, so you'll be able to share. And I neglected to mention to our attendees that the event will be recorded, so just so that you're aware of that. Here we go. We should be right now. Thank you.
Yes, it's okay now. Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be today. I can be with you and share some information and my opinions to you. So my presentation today is an introduction of medical product regulation in China. As time is short, I will not explain in great detail, but after my presentation, there will be some time for you to ask some questions. So I will try to finish my presentation in about 30 minutes. My presentation contains 5 parts today. First part, overview of regulatory system of medical products. Second, key differences between medical device regulation in China and the US and Europe. Third, medical product registration in Hainan Free Trade Zone. The fourth one, advice for Australian health tech startups, and a platform for starting your business in China. Now, the first one. Overview of regulatory organization in China. In China, the current regulatory authority for medical products is called National Medical Products Administration, abbreviated as NMPA. NMPA regulates drugs, medical devices, and cosmetics in the aspects of pre-market registration and post-market surveillance. Before NMPA, the regulatory authority had different names at different periods. It had been called State Pharmaceutical Administration of China, State Drug Administration, State Food and Drug Administration, China Food and Drug Administration, until now, National Medical Products Administration, the NMPA. NMPA's main offices, important for us, are Department of Drug Registration, Department of Drug Supervision, Department of Medical Device Registration, and Department of Medical Device Supervision. Apart from the internal offices, NMPA also has affiliated institutions which provide technical services for NMPA. These are some of them. For medical devices, we have the Department of Medical Device Registration and the Department of Medical Device Supervision. The Center for Medical Device Evaluation and Center for Medical Device Standards mainly cooperate with the Department of Medical Device Registration. And the Center for Drug Reevaluation and Center for Food and Drug Inspection mainly cooperate with the Department of Medical Device Supervision. The names of these two centers do not indicate medical devices because they don't work specially for medical devices, but they both have specialized internal divisions for medical devices. In line with the Chinese government structure, NMPA also has different tiers of local presence. Namely, at the top, we have NMPA, and under it, we have provincial MPAs, municipal MPAs, county-level MPAs, and further lower-level MPAs. Next part, regulation brief. This slide shows you the main medical device regulations in China, the highest set of which is the regulations for the supervision and administration of medical devices, which was first promulgated by the State Council in year 2000 and revised in 2004, 2014, 2017, and now again in the new process of revision. Under the umbrella of this set of regulations, the competent authority, namely the NMPA and previous SDA, SFDA, and CFDA, promulgated provisions for the registration of medical devices, good clinical trial practice for medical devices, provisions for the licensing of medical device manufacturers, and provisions for the licensing of medical device distributors, etc. I said NMPA conducts pre-market registration and post-marketing surveillance. For pre-marketing, we require product filing for Class 1 medical devices and product registration for all Class 2 and Class 3 medical devices. That means every Class 2 and Class 3 device must undergo a registration procedure, which includes the inspection of your product standard, laboratory type test report, clinical evaluation or clinical trial report, and quality system inspection report, etc., before it is approved and given a registration certificate to start its distribution and use in China. For post-marketing, we conduct adverse event monitoring and reporting, unannounced inspection, product re-evaluation and recall, etc. We have a policy to support innovative medical devices. Innovation is the engine of world economic development. In recent years, the Chinese government has attached more and more importance to innovation and issued a series of policies to encourage innovation. The same is in medical products field. In 2014, the NMPA issued the Special Review and Approval Procedure for Innovative Medical Devices. In 2015 and 2017, the State Council issued opinions on reforming the evaluation and approval system for drugs and medical devices, and the opinions on deepening the reform of the evaluation and approval system to encourage innovation of drugs and medical devices. In 2018, the NMPA issued the revised special examination procedure for innovative medical devices. Comparing with NMPA's previous procedure, the newly revised special examination procedure for innovative medical devices perfected the applicable situation, detailized the application process, improved the effectiveness of innovation review, and also improved the review methods and the way for notification of the review results. To apply for an innovative medical device review and get the approval, the 6 steps must be followed. NMPA established an Innovative Medical Device Examination Office, which is located in CMDE of NMPA and headed by a Deputy Director General of the CMDE. The office consists of leaders of the 2 medical device registration divisions of the Department of Medical Device Registration of NMPA, leaders of every review division of the CMDE, and experts from Chinese Society of Biomedical Engineering and China Society of Biomaterials. You must satisfy the preconditions to apply for an innovative device and submit the following documents required to apply for an innovative medical device. After you get the approval and your product is recognized as an innovative device, you can enjoy various privileges. Some figures. In 2019, 179 devices applied for innovative approval, 36 approved, among which 7 are overseas devices, and 19 got registration certificates. This year, 118 applications, 26 approved, and 5 are overseas devices. Accumulative applications by September this year, 1,418 applications altogether. 274 have been approved as innovative, among which 120 have applied for registration and entered into technical review process, of which 84 have got registration certificates and entered into market. Now, so much for the first part. Well, maybe you're not quite clear with the approval of an innovative device and registration. Well, as I said, all medical devices in China, apart from class 1. Class 1, you just put a file on NMPA. For all class 2 and class 3 devices, you must have a registration certificate. You must undergo the registration procedure, which will need a long time. For innovative device, you first apply for innovative approval. And then when you are approved and recognized as an innovative device, then you apply for the registration. The procedure for registration is much shorter and and the time you need for the registration is faster. Okay, now the second part, key differences between medical device regulation in China and in US and Europe. China, as I've told you, our regulatory authority is NMPA. We regulate medical products by regulations for the supervision and administration of medical devices and downstream provisions of CFDA and NMPA. And we group medical devices into 3 classes. We have pre-marketing registration and post-marketing surveillance. In the United States, the regulatory authority is the US Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, within which the CDRH is responsible for medical devices. The US FDA regulates by Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, and for medical devices, especially by the Medical Device Amendment. They also group medical devices into 3 classes and have pre-marketing procedures and post-marketing surveillance. Whereas in EU, their current regulatory authority is DG GROW, which in full is Directorate General for Internal Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship, and Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises. Before 2017, they had 3 medical device directives, and in May 2017, they promulgated 2 medical device regulations, which means they are now in the transition period from regulating medical devices by the 3 directives to regulating by the 2 regulations. They group medical devices into 4 classes, namely Class 1, Class 2A, Class 2B, and Class 3. For pre-marketing, they require CE marking and use notified bodies to perform pre-marketing inspection and approval on behalf of the EU competent authority. And for post-marketing, they mainly rely on the competent authorities of the member economies. The EU has to coordinate a decentralized system. In my opinion, we can compare the key differences between China, US, and EU in 2 aspects. In the regulatory system, China has centralized pre-marketing registration by NMPA and decentralized post-marketing surveillance by local MPAs and NMPA. The USA has highly centralized pre-marketing and post-marketing regulation by FDA and its regional offices. And the EU has decentralized operation under centralized regulations. In practice, China implements assessment mainly based on product standard, type testing, and clinical evaluation. And USA and EU mainly based on harmonized standards and conformity assessment procedures. Now, the third part, medical product registration in Hainan Free Trade Zone. Hainan province, the second biggest island in China, is a free trade zone in whole. In 2013, approved by the State Council, a pilot zone called Hainan Boao-Le-Cheng International Medical Tourism Pilot Zone was established within the province. In 2019, the leading body of this pilot zone, called Hainan Boao-Le-Cheng International Medical Tourism Pilot Zone Administration, was established. The pilot zone is located in a very beautiful area with very convenient air, railway, and road transportations, and different means of support from different levels of local governments. In the pilot zone, import process of medical devices and drugs is speeded up. Cutting-edge medical technology research projects may be applied, and non-public medical institutions and their diagnosis and treatment services and large-scale medical equipment may be specially examined and approved. The whole period of development is 15 years, divided into 3 stages. At present, 16 projects have started construction, and among them, 9 medical institutions have opened for medical service. Some of the advanced medical equipment already in service. These are specially approved drugs and medical devices. I said there are preferential policies for the approval and use of medical devices in the pilot zone. These are some of them. In August 2016, the General Office of the Hainan Provincial Government issued a notice on implementing the relevant preferential policies of Bo'ao International Medical Tourism Pioneer Zone. In April 2018, the government of Hainan Province issued a notice of interim rules for the administration of urgently needed imported medical devices in Bo'ao International Medical Tourism Pilot Zone. And in July 2018, the Hainan NPA issued a guide on application for clinical urgent import of medical devices. In April 2019, the pilot zone administration was established. In September 2019, the Hainan Health Commission issued a notice on further improving the clinical urgent needs assessment of imported drugs and medical devices in the pilot zone. In March 2020, Hainan MPA issued the interim measures on the administration of the use of urgently needed imported drugs taken out from the pilot zone. What is the process of application for importing clinical urgent need medical devices in the pilot zone? First, there must be an urgent need to use the device. As the first step, the medical institution which has the urgent clinical need of an imported medical device shall submit a clinical needs assessment application to Hainan Provincial Health Commission and obtain their assessment comment. The commission will judge whether it is critically urgent to import the device, which means there should be no any other means of treatment available. Apart from this, the commission will also evaluate the capability of the medical institution to see if the said medical device can be used properly in this medical institution. Second step, the medical institution should submit an application to Hainan Provincial MPA. The MPA will organize an evaluation to decide whether to allow the import of the device. Apart from informing the applicant of the result, the Hainan MPA will also report the information to NMPA. When you have successfully obtained the permission to import a clinical urgent need medical device, don't forget it must be imported through the Hainan port for customs clearance. It can only be used for a specific medical purpose in the said medical institution and may not be used or installed outside of this institution. It shall be used for only a certain period of time in the specific medical institution, and after which period, the provincial MPA shall evaluate the situation of the use
and will inform the overseas manufacturer of the device to apply for formal medical device registration at NMPA. The Hainan MPA will also report to NMPA. When the overseas manufacturer fails to submit the registration application on time, the import and use of the device will be stopped. The clinical institution should use the device in accordance with the relevant requirements, and the clinical data obtained during the clinical use can be used as real-world data to apply for the import medical device registration. So much for the introduction of the Hainan pilot zone. Next part, some advices for Australian health tech startups. In response to the policy reform, bringing new products to Chinese market has become an important priority for both domestic and overseas drug and medical device enterprises. With the introduction of supporting and encouraging measures, products with new clinical values will experience accelerated launch and volume ramp up. In regard of the situation that small and medium-sized European and American medical product enterprises have sought to enter the Chinese market through cooperation with Chinese enterprises, a good opportunity for enterprises is to introduce new projects through license-in model. Companies with sufficient funds and capabilities in some specialized fields can expand their product lines through in-license, which is conducive to their long-term development and also increases their own valuations in the capital market. As phased payment reduces the financial pressure of potential buyers and also shows the project transfer's recognition of the product value, leaving the possibility for potential high sales revenue share of subsequent products. It improves the success rate of project transfer. Venture investment plus intellectual property plus CRO services has become the current trend. Many pharmaceutical and medical device startups are experimenting with this model at present. The early stage venture capital sector is generally optimistic about the innovative drug market. As China's marketing authorization holder system will integrate the specialized third-party services during the conversion of innovative medical devices, it will effectively reduce the conversion costs and risks and will further stimulate investment in medical device innovation capabilities. So this is just some advices. Now the last part, I will introduce you a platform for starting your business in China. The platform I'm going to introduce to you is now being established by a company called MedCircle, and the platform will provide medical device industry lending services. MedCircle is the most competent provider of a comprehensive medical information service in China. Having 20 years experience in medical industry, they have established a database which gives specific tags to more than 1 million doctors and 500,000 medical practitioners. They focus on the online promotion of medical academic activities to provide efficient digital marketing integration services for governments, societies, and associations. They provide comprehensive information services such as product research and development, landing of manufacturing, registration and clinical trials, post-launch academic promotion for nearly 2,000 medical device and drug companies at home and abroad. This is MedCircle's service system, including a capital chain, service chain, and technology chain. Based on the MAH system and technological innovation incubation, they have built a third-party professional outsourcing service system for medical devices, including new product testing and validation, registration, manufacturing, and sales. The system effectively lowers the threshold of converting innovative technology, accelerates the design of new products, and significantly reduces the risks of business operations and product development for new technology providers. They provide innovation services and financial services. They cooperate with well-known universities, research institutions, and industry alliances in medical device field through conducting joint courses or establishing field training bases. They integrate talent education capabilities into project domain to provide sustainable, multi-tiered, and professional talents for the innovation in the park. They are now in the process of establishing several national medical device innovation demonstration zones and medical device innovation research institutions in different areas of China. To build an innovative industry cluster in the field of medical devices. A pipeline system with 7 centers plus 1 base and 1 cluster. They are creating a smart landmark for medical devices to integrate medical device technology research and development, product design, and think tank services, and bring together the top innovative components of medical technology. Through offering low-cost workplaces, time-share product development tools, comprehensive supporting services, and the atmosphere of an innovation community, the Innovation Incubation Center provides startups with continuous impetus to achieve innovation-driven growth. A regional outsourcing service system carrier with CROs and CRAOs is being created to provide third-party professional product inspection and registration services for the innovation of medical products. And this will effectively reduce the company's investment pressure of product innovation and improve the conversion efficiency of new products. In cooperation with famous medical universities and international technical and vocational training institutions, they will build a professional education and training base with multiple functions. They provide a 360-degree industrial supporting system and build a comprehensive industrial service platform. The Exchange and Exhibition Center will host activities and campaigns to narrow the distance between the cutting-edge technology and the general public, creating interactions between scientific innovation companies and the public, and building images of innovations and flagship scientific and recreational events. Their project development strategy is to build a dual engine mechanism consisting of leading project driving engine and an industrial platform driving engine. Relying on the resources of the first batch of landing projects, they can enhance publicity of the projects and ensure the continuous introduction of industrial and innovative elements. Well, this is the introduction of this platform. And so much for my presentation of the 5 parts today. So now if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chung. That was very comprehensive and very interesting. I think that we don't have any written question and answers, but I might hand over now to Jason Chung, Jason Sun, beg your pardon, who's the CEO of the Australia China Health Accelerator.
Okay, so thank you very much.
I'd like to make some comments on.
Thank you very much, Virginia, and thank Mr. Chung for his taking time out of his busy schedule. There is a couple of pre-submitted questions. One is related to the similarity between human product registration and animal product registration in China. So, Mr. Chung, could you please share your knowledge of the animal product, veterinary product registration process to the human product registration process?
Well, this is the difference between the Chinese system and the Western system. I know in the United States, US FDA regulates not only human products, but also veterinary, the animal products. And maybe in Australia is the same. But in China, NMPA and also previous CFDAs and SDAs, etc. This regulatory authority is only responsible for human medical products, drugs, medical devices, cosmetics, etc. So anything relating to the health of humans. For animal products, they are regulated by the Ministry of Agriculture. The Ministry of Agriculture is responsible to regulate animal products. Any kind of drugs or animal or any equipment used for the animal treatment. So normally they should apply at the Ministry of the Agriculture, and it's not as strict as the regulation of human products. I'm sure, but I'm sorry because I have never worked in the Ministry of Agriculture, so I do not know any detailed information for animal products.
Okay, excellent. There's a couple of comments about whether the slides will be shared, but I think Virginia's already answered that question. So we will share the slides as well as the recording to the audience. There is another pre-submitted question with relation to IP. I know today's session is not on IP. It's whether that China recognize Australian IP or not registration. So I might start with answering part of the question. And because we obviously run an acceleration program and also funded by, a Founders Education program funded by LaunchFig. So I might answer that question and I might ask also Mr. Chung to comment. So China does have a IP registration legislation and process. So this process is getting more mature as China has become a more mature economy. So if you refer to the IP situation in China by the World IP Organization, WIPO, they have recently released reports on the IP protection in China. There are still issues, but China has made a great advances in IP protection. And Australia have a IP commissioner until recently. His name is David Bennett at Tasmania. He's the first post overseas by Australia IP organization. He's been placed hosted in Beijing. So he just finished his post. He has released a number of reports on IP protection in China. You can go on to the IP Australian website about that. So in summary, the Chinese IP protection situation, legislation is different from Australia and other Western countries. But if you apply and familiarize yourself, and there is absolutely every confidence you should have your IP will be respected. So that's a separate topic, and obviously we can have hours of discussion on that, but I do refer you those two resources I mentioned. But I'd also like to give Mr. Chen opportunity to comment on the Chinese IP protection, particularly with medicines and medical devices. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, in China, we have a Bureau for Intellectual Property Protection. So this bureau is responsible for inspecting the intellectual property and issuing the intellectual property right. This bureau is separate from the NMPA. Well, the NMPA, we regulate drugs and medical devices only according to all the drug and medical device regulations. So for the normal registration of drugs and medical devices, we do not ask the applicant to submit any IP information. However, if you have already obtained IP protection, you can also deliver your document to NMPA. So we'll use it as a reference, but it's not a must for the registration of drugs and medical devices. However, for the special approval of innovative drugs and medical devices, this is a must. So as I just now gave you the introduction of the special approval procedure of innovative medical devices, the first requirement is an IP right, and you must have obtained a Chinese IP, not foreign IP. It must be a Chinese invention IP. So if you have got this license, and then this is you have satisfied the first requirement as innovative of the medical device. So this is the precondition. Well, I will not talk too much about IP protection because this is not the responsibility of NMPA.
Yeah, thank you. There's another question. It's to do with the registration through the Hainan system. I must mention to you also, Mr. Chen, in Australia, have similar sort of systems called SAS, Special Access Scheme. But the difference is the Special Access Scheme only apply to individuals, not the institution. The question the gentleman is asking is, now he understands obviously there are restrictions in going through the Hainan system because it restricted the institute and they're also restricted in terms of time frame. So his question is, assuming successful trials, clinical trials, I think what he means is there an estimate time for the devices to apply registry nationally? And has any success examples gone through this pathway?
Well, first, when I said the medical institute, when you said in Australia, so the special approval is for individuals, only for individuals.
Yes.
Well, in Hainan part, I said medical institution. It does not mean public medical institution. It means any private medical institution, non-public medical institution. So, and also the device. It does not mean the device can be used in the whole institution. It only the institution should first submit an application request to the first to the provincial health commission, second to provincial MPA, just telling them you have a group of patients, or maybe one patient, an individual patient. So one patient or a group of patients with the same disease. And so there's no any other equipment, medical device available to cure this disease. So this is the only way to save their life. So it's also for a group of patients or for an individual, not for all patients. And it can be used only for a period of time in this hospital, depending on the application. The doctor in the institution who wrote the application at the beginning and submitted to the health commission. So it described the symptoms of the patients and normally what period you need to see the effect of the device or the drug for this patient. So, and then the permission will be given according to the application, to the report written by the institution. So, because they must see if the device or the drug is really effective. So after this period of time, you have already saved the life of the patient, and then the manufacturer should start the formal registration application process.
I think the question is estimate time that it will take to go through the national stage after the the Hainan system, okay. And also, is there any successful examples of devices or drugs that have gone through this process?
Yes, already. Yeah, there's already this year already some medical devices used in Hainan last year. This year they applied for registration and already got the certificates. Well, I don't remember the names of, but some I remember 3 or 5 already got the certificates. Because usually, if you have already used them in Hainan, you have got enough clinical data. So when you apply at NMPA for the registration, so we don't ask you to repeat clinical trial in China again. So those letters are real-world data. Well, I forgot to tell you, just last week, NMPA issued a new provision, a new set of provisions. And this is especially about how to recognize real-world data. Because there are many different kinds of real-world data the manufacturer can collect and submit to NMPA. But not all data can be effective real-world data. So we must examine and determine which data are effective real-world data, which are not effective. So last week, NMPA issued a special regulation. And as for the time duration of registration, it differs according to device, because device is quite different from drugs. So if we have big equipment, small device, maybe a small tool, etc. So it's quite different. So the complexity of the device is also different. So the duration of the registration is quite different. Some maybe within 1 year, half a year, or even the shortest 3 months when you have got the enough data, clinical data. So, but the longest can be, the longer ones maybe 2 or 3 years, 5 years, the longest even over 5 years.
Yeah, the gentleman written back to say, yes, great answer. He's happy with that. And then there's another question coming through. This person has heard a rumor that NMPA may replace the requirement for animal testing of imported cosmetic skin products. So can you either confirm that or disconfirm that?
Well, I have not heard of that. I'm sorry. I've never heard of that message.
Seems like just a rumor then.
Maybe.
So, yeah, so I haven't heard, there isn't any other questions coming through, but I'll just like to summarize that obviously having regulatory, regulatory requirement in China is complicated and it is slightly different from FDA and TGA and also European requirements. So having expert on the ground is very important. but having expert on the ground for other things is very important as well, such as distribution, clinical trials, investment, setting up operations. It's very difficult. It's a very different, and it's a huge challenge. So what the platform MedCircle, introduced by Mr. Chung, could be very useful for Australian and other international organizations to tap into, regardless of their size, to using that platform. So ACHA, Australian China Health Accelerator, is working with Mr. Chung to establish a collaboration where we can assist Australian healthcare companies who needs regulatory, distribution, and investment and manufacturing partnerships to go through this platform. So again, I'd like to, on behalf of the audience, thank Mr. Chung for his time. Again, presentation will be made available. Have an introduction of Mr. Chung and also the platform. So with that, I would like to hand back to Virginia to close. Thank you.
Thank you.
Virginia, you're on mute.
Sorry, apologies. That was a very thorough summary. Thank you very much for that, Jason. And Mr. Chung, thank you also very much. It's interesting you talking about the animal test. Really strong confirmed reports that was almost imminent. So it's very good to hear it right from the horse's mouth, or straight from the source that's not the case. So I hope our question, the person asking the question, will be, I guess, relieved to know that there is a definite no to it. So thank you for that. We really appreciate your time, both of you. Jason, your wonderful work with the Australia China Health Accelerator, which is obviously supported by the Commonwealth Incubator Support Program, and it's through that program that we were able to bring Mr. Chung here as our international expert. So thank you for that, and good luck with all your work in that regard. Emails will be sent out after this event with the link to the recording and also Mr. Chung's presentation. So finally, up on your screen in 1 second will be our 2 final ACBC events for the end of the year, which I hope will come on the screen in a minute. And we do hope to see you before the year closes. In the meantime, do stay safe. We very much look forward to our program next year, and hope that we may catch up with Mr. Chung again sometime in the future. So thank you all once again. Thank you.
Thank you. You are all very welcome. And I'm very happy to have the time with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.